Hi there, my name is Ed. I'm just going to quickly show you through the printed acrylic 3D logo wall signs, just so that we can help you understand what you're buying, make sure it's the right product for you, and essentially just talk you through how to order it. So the printed acrylic 3D signs are made for logos that are a little bit different in terms of color. So ultimately, either it doesn't fit our standard colored acrylics. So if you were to find our standard colored acrylic logos, you'll see that these come in just a few colors. There are 36 to choose from. If your logo doesn't match these colors, we can print your logo in your perfect brand color or colors. And so with this logo, it's great for logos that have gradients or specific colors or that have extra design details, which we can come on to in a bit. But ultimately, high quality printed logo that is perfect to fit your brand. We then laser cut around each letter so that you're just receiving each individual letter one by one. And then we provide you with a template to allow you to fit it onto the wall to make sure it's spaced out correctly. So let's just quickly run through the product, what you get, and kind of just some more information. So first of all, we're selecting the size, and longest edge is talking about the full width for this particular logo because it's wider than it is tall. So for this logo, it's going to be the full width. So I believe this sign was around 2 meters wide. So the longest edge would be 200 centimeters for this particular sign. Now, if your logo is a square or a circle shape, you may need to get in touch with us and get a specific quote, because the sizes on the website are based on the average logo that is long and thin. We're not doing this price based on a square or a circle, so please do email us if you've got a logo that is big, circular, etc. And again, I'll show you some examples of logos that work and ones that would be an additional cost. If your logo has a gradient or any other kind of design in it, absolutely fine for us to be able to do at any size, so that should all be fine. So size-wise, we would just generally recommend that if you've got a wall, say 2 meters wide, you just come in a little bit from that and maybe do 150 or 160 centimeters in total longest edge. So it's, for example, 160. So hope that that's helpful to try and work that out. Obviously, you can try and work out based on the size of your logo the best size to go for. We also do offer a free mock-up service, so do get in touch with us with the size of your wall. If you'd be interested, we can do you a quick mock-up to show you the size of your logo on your wall size to give you an idea of the scale. Depth, we do 2 different depths, but at the moment we're only listing the 7mm option. We do have a 13mm option, which is a lot thicker, but you just need to email us for a price on that. So just be aware of that. Then we've got fixings. So we've got 2 different types of fixings. Fixing number 1 is double-sided tape. So once we've laser cut out the letters to shape, we then apply double-sided tape onto the back of each one. And then you would receive a cardboard template, which you can masking tape on the wall and then place each letter into the corresponding hole so the F for the F and the I for the I, etc. Makes it very, very simple to install, really, really easy. Normally takes about 15 minutes to install a logo like that, or at absolute most. So that's the double-sided tape. Why would you choose double-sided tape? Well, sometimes when you've got very small text in a logo like this fiber fast broadband, it may not always be possible for us to do those with the standoff fixings. So these are the standoff fixings, and this is what the double-sided tape looks like. The standoff fixings are great because they push the logo off the wall to give it a drop shadow, like you can see here with the Black Swan logo. But the lettering needs to be thick enough for us to be able to have that. So if your logo's got very small, thin elements in it, we would recommend that you do double-sided tape, which looks like this, which is flat to the surface. Whereas if you have a bit of a chunkier logo or you're going for a bigger shape or bigger design, then you can normally go for the standoff fixings here, and they work really well. So if you were to choose the standoff fixings, you get a paper template that you can then put up onto the wall and drill through. So there is actually a video here that you can watch, which gives you a bit of of that. So you can see this is a paper template. All the letters have been drawn onto that template, and then you get little dots where you drill into the wall. Once those are drilled in, you then fixing in these little fixings, and then you're just pushing each letter into the surface. So have a little watch of that video if you want to see that. If you would like to see a much more comprehensive video how to install the logos with the standoff fixings, you can watch this video a little bit further down the page. But ultimately, either logo comes with a template as part of the cost, so you don't have to worry. The installation is very straightforward, and so that is that. And then we've got a file upload here, which may be on the product page or may be after checkout by the time you see this video. Second thing, or another thing to mention, is that the logos can be moved. So if you were to do double-sided tape, it's more difficult to move the logo because it will probably take a little bit of paint off the wall, and then you'd have to replace the double-sided tape on the back of the logo. However, if you do the standoff fixings, it is a case of just pulling each letter off. They pop off the wall, unscrew the fixings, move it to another wall, and you just need a new template from us to be able to reinstall the logo in future. So we have a lot of clients that would, for example, take the logo to an exhibition, put it up for a few days, take it down, put it back up at the office, take it to another office. And so these are definitely an investment in a logo that will last you for years to come, because you can move them around relatively easily. We've then got just a little bit of turnaround time. So you can see if you were to place the order today, it would take you about this long to kind of receive the sign. So have a little look at that so you can understand what's going on there. Have a little read here. It does say that that we are looking for logos that are a sort of standard size like this, that are long and thin. If you have a bigger logo that is circular, etc., then do get in touch and we can certainly help, but it just costs a bit more to produce that kind of logo. So a couple more bits. When you process the order, you would place the order first. Then my design team would get in touch and we'll send you a PDF document that looks something like this, which will essentially lay out the sizes of the logo, show you the fixings that you've asked for, and various other information about your job. Once you've seen that PDF and you're happy, you then reply and say approved, and then we'll go into production. So we don't actually go into production until you are 100% happy with the logo and with the design. And so that is the second step. But if you go on holiday for a week, your order will stay on hold for a week until we've heard from you to approve. So please be aware to look out in your emails for that proof, just so that we can speed up the process. A little bit more information down here to kind of give you an example of various bits. There's various reviews that you can look at. There are some videos here that you can see from other clients installing them. You can see the paper cardboard template is used here in this one, and some more pictures of stuff, including FAQs down here if you want to have a little look. A couple of other things to mention. The logos are suitable for both indoor and outdoor, as you can see from this photo here. So it is possible for you to be able to use the sign outdoors or indoors. Other bits to mention is that we check your file every single time before you upload. If and when you upload the logo, it's ideal to use a vector format of your logo, which normally is a file that was given to you by the designer who made your logo in the first place. If you don't have that, you can upload the logo in whatever format you've got it, and we'll do our best to redraw the logo from scratch so that we get it perfect. But obviously, those vector formats are ideal if you've got them, please. Other things to mention is that we've got a gallery here just to kind of give you another few examples of products. So for this particular client, we did some stud fixings. So if you've got a moss wall like this, you can get in touch with us, because we also have another type of fixing that we can offer besides the two that are standard on the product page. We have a lot of clients that do logos that go on these slat panels. If you want that, you can upload the size of the slats that you've given us, the width of the slat and the width of the gap, and we will then produce a template that allows the fixings to only sit onto the top of the raised bit, so that the fixings essentially don't go into the gap. That's the same again if you were to do a brick wall. So for this particular client, we've drawn out all the bricks, added the fixings in the right place so that they avoid the grouting. We've done logos for lots of companies, including companies like Google and many other big brands that you may have heard of, like Team GB. Here's another example of a sign that's gone outdoors on a client's wall, so they definitely work both indoors and outdoors. So yeah, really, these are just some examples of other products that we've done, other designs. For this particular client, their logo came with this London's skyline design, and obviously that's too thin for us to be able to cut out to shape. And so what we've done is add a box around that, which was part of their logo, because this was the other logo of theirs, and they sat together on the wall like this. And so we can do some designs, but we just can't always do very, very intricate designs. Couple of other things to mention whilst we're at it would be about the size of the lettering. Let me just see if I've got an example where I can show you here. So this is these logos were added with double-sided tape to the wall. When we've got text that is too small, it's not always possible for us to add the standoff fixings to the back of the lettering. So for this Loomis logo, for example, we could in theory do the Loomis lettering, L-U-M and S, and probably the O with standoff fixings, but all these different shapes here and the lighting group text was too small. So this particular client decided that they would do the design in double-sided tape for that reason, so it all stays in one level. But we do have quite a lot of clients that choose logos where they are two types of fixing, where they've got double-sided tape on one part of the logo and standoff fixings on another part. Just trying to see if I can find an example, but I don't think I've got one here. But yeah, anyway, so that just sort of it gives you an example of all of that stuff there. Any other things to mention at this stage would be, let's just flip over to Adobe Illustrator. This is some examples of logos that we would need to be able, that we could do in the printed acrylic. So logos like this, for example, are a specific color that we don't offer in our color chart. So there's no minty color there that is close. This one was too light. And so the client wasn't happy to have that. You can see this is too light. That's a lot darker. So for that client, we did it like that. For this client, again, it's one solid color, but that bluey color, we don't have that bluey green. We don't have as a color, so again we can print it to perfectly match. Logos that have gradients in, logos like this one where you've got lots of thin lines, we would cut this design out as one shape with a white background between the different lines, and then do the rest of the logo as is. Designs where you've got a picture or a design that is really complex, gradients, big shapes with gradients in, or even a logo like this that in theory you could do in standard colors. We could do that in the gray and dark gray, but because of the mint we couldn't do that, and so this would again mean that this logo would need to be printed acrylic. Logos that have got shapes or icons like this, or gradients of complex shapes. So there's a bunch of examples here of where these logos fit perfectly for the printed acrylic logos, because they've just got a lot more detail. They're a lot more tricky than the sort of standard color. Here are some examples of logos that would work with the standard colors, where you've got solid colors that are all standard and perfectly fit the colors that we offer in our standard color chart. And so these are kind of examples of ones that we can do like that. And the reason you would choose the standard color is because it's a little bit more cost effective. The printed acrylic is a longer process to make, and just makes it harder to, just makes it more expensive to produce. Then we've got large shapes. So if your logo has a large shape in it, whether it's big circles like this, whether it's long, thin lines, shapes around the outside, text that is all connected up with each other, or large elements like this, these kind of logos, again, cost a bit more because ultimately they use a lot more material to produce, and they're often much bigger to package and post. So if your logo has big swooshes or big shapes like this, you may need to get in touch with us and email us for a quote so that we can get you the correct price for your job. In some instances, so I think for this Sterling Shore client, we ended up putting a join between the R and the L, because this client went for a logo that was somewhere in the region of like 3 meters wide, which meant that this sterling lettering was about 140 from memory, something like that. And so If you've got very large lettering, we may need to do a design where we split it. It's often very subtle, but it's just something to be aware of. And even if you've got a relatively simple logo like this Castle Country Club, but you've got one long line through the middle, we sometimes have to split that into a couple of sections in order to produce it and post it out. So I hope that that kind of gives you an idea. Another type of logo which is very difficult for us to produce in the kind of printed acrylic are logos with very thin lines. And so if you've got designs that have really, really thin text like this one here, in some instances we need to thicken that lettering up in order to make it possible to make the logo. But my design team can essentially show you how, what we would need to do in order to make your logo possible to create. What's good about this is that we would recommend just going as big as possible. If your logo has very thin lettering or small text in it, just try and go as big as possible, because that's the best way to scale up the logo without having to edit it. For example, this Regain Your Power logo here, if this was 1 meter wide, it would be very difficult to do this small text, and we'd have to thicken it quite a lot to make it possible to cut. So the way that we would do that is to take the logo and offset path, and we'll do it by maybe let's do it by 0.2. So we do something like that to sort of thicken the lettering so that it becomes big enough to cut. However, the bigger the logo, the less we have to thicken, and so it's ideal wherever possible to just try and go as big as you can with the original size of the logo. So that just gives you some examples of different logos in different styles. But if your logo has any of these elements in it, you're definitely in the right place for ordering this product. And so we're all good. So the only other thing to mention is that we do a mock-up service like this, for example, where we would draw out your logo, we would scale it up on the size of your wall. We would then send you a mock-up picture like this to show you the size of your logo on the wall. So if you are interested, do get in touch. We'd be more than happy to send you a quote along with a mock-up like this, and you might then say, oh, can you show me what the size would look like at 1 meter, 1.5 meters and 2 meters, and then we can show you different options for you to choose. So I hope that helps. If you've got any other questions, don't hesitate to let us know, but I hope that's been helpful to help you understand what you're getting. Thank you so much. Speak soon. Bye.